a breathwork workshop presented itself, I took the opportunity. And when I went through that process, it is said, and this was quoted by a psychotherapist, that one session of breathwork is like 2 years of psychotherapy.
All right, in this episode, I'm talking to my good friend, family friend, Andrew Au. He is a wellness coach, and what he does is he has this unique perspective on how to physically and mentally train somebody to their peak performance. Andrew is also an NLP practitioner, and he brings breath work into what he does. He won the first place of the men's fitness competition here in BC, and if you check it out, in this picture here, holy cow, yeah, you're gonna want to check this out. And as Andrew likes to put it, wellness is a state of being, free of injury and illness. Anyways, I hope you enjoy this and listen to his wisdom, because what he brings to the table is invaluable. Mr. Drew, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining me today on Connect the Dots. So I'm really excited to introduce you guys to my good friend, Andrew Au. He's a wellness coach, and he is phenomenal. He's done some amazing things with his clients, and his methodologies and his just mind frame and mindsets of thinking just never cease to amaze me. So Andrew, without further ado, tell us, man, what you do and how you do it. What's your story?
Yeah, thank you. So as Alex just introduced me, thank you for that introduction, by the way. I am a wellness coach. And so what I specifically do right now is I currently help working professionals improve their posture out of pain and dysfunction so that they can experience a life of vitality, relief, and ultimate freedom. And the reason why I focus on that is I focus on the health aspect of our overall well-being. And what I mean by that is health is defined as being free, a state of being free of illness and or injury. And so, oftentimes our own adversity will lead us down the direction of our own purpose. And what I found my purpose to be is somebody who is able to help heal others because I've gone through my own healing. And so once I started to discover the power of the physical transformation, I began to realize the importance of the mental transformation as well. And so, as you know, oftentimes we have either self-sabotaging beliefs, self-sabotaging habits, self-limiting beliefs, and also narratives within our own mind that stop us from waking up in the state that we always want to wake up in so that we can become more in life, so that we can do more, and ultimately serve more. And when I started to realize the importance of the mental aspect, man, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. All of a sudden, I was exposed to personal growth and development outside of multi-level marketing, which most people always get exposed to. And obviously, with that system aside, the culture in itself of personal growth and development is a very powerful experience for most people to grow through. And so growing through that experience and learning a lot of personal growth and development, I began to realize the importance of the mental aspect. So from that experience, I started tying in the physical and the mental aspect together. And that's what also led me to what we call neuro-linguistic programming, which Alex has also taken as well, right?
Yes.
And so through that, I've been using those two forms of modalities and tools and techniques to help really empower my clients. Because oftentimes when people come in, they say, I want to lose the weight so that I can be more confident. I want to lose the weight so that I can feel better in my skin. I want to, exercise so that I can feel clear, so that I can feel more energy. And so oftentimes what they're saying is, I want to do this so that I can be this. I want to have this so that I can be this. And like we just talked about, it's not an outside-in job, it's an inside-out job. Why not learn how to be that now so that you can live through the goal, right, now, and then achieve that more effortless. And so through the practice and techniques of personal growth and development and NLP, we're able to teach people how to live in that experience today so that they can more effortlessly achieve their goals tomorrow.
Wonderful.
And it doesn't end there. And so even through that process of discovering that, I still felt like something was missing. And once again, when the student was ready, the teacher will appear. And I thought to myself, I'm like, Even through NLP, we learn about the brain waves, high beta, learning how to take ourselves from our sympathetic state into a parasympathetic state, which is the most ideal state where we can tap into the operating system. And so I thought to myself, I'm like, if breathing is so powerful, and which is what I use in my physical practice as well. I always tell them, do not match your breath to your movements. Always match your movement to your breath, because the key is in your breath. In order to really learn how to physically move correctly in a way that you're able to benefit yourself long term, you must be able to connect your nervous system to your movement, so your brain actually learns new patterns, which is what we've learned through coaching as well. And so I started to ask myself, if breathing is so powerful, I wonder what else it can do. And so out of nowhere, breathwork was revealed to me. And mind you, I've meditated for a long time. And I've gone to some deep states, mixing in NLP with normal meditation, some really good states. And so learning how to go through that process, breathwork was revealed. And I was like, this is very interesting. And when I started, when an opportunity to take a breathwork workshop presented itself, I took the opportunity. And when I went through that process, it is said, okay, and this was quoted by a psychotherapist, that one session of breathwork is like 2 years of psychotherapy. Because there's a concept called the pain body. Have you heard of that concept?
I have not. What is that?
No. So the pain body is considered as the unconscious mind. And what happens is our body keeps score of everything. And like we talked about before, how we've been so repressed that if ever you want to raise your hand and ask a question in school, sometimes you're told to sit down, shut up, and don't say a word. Like, mind you, dude, I'll tell you an experience I had. I remember being in school one time, and I had to pee. Okay. I had to pee. I raised my hand. I told my teacher I have to go to the washroom. The teacher said, no, shut up, and sit down. Not in those words, obviously, but they said, no, hold it in, sit down, and wait there. And I'm just like nervously shaking my legs. I'm like, yo, man, I really got to go. At one point, I was like, I got to go. And he's like, no, sit there, wait, hold it in. We're almost done class. I'm like, dude, I got to go. He's like, no. You know what I did, dude? I finally got up. I ran outside. You know what happened while running to the washroom? I fucking pissed my pants. This was in middle school. And so from that moment on, you got to realize, like, not everybody is that aware. And in that moment, I realized that, do my teachers really have my best interest in mind? If I'm telling him that, dude, I gotta go, but they're repressing and telling me to go, I started to realize that sometimes people in an authoritative position don't always have your best interest in mind. And so I've always went against the grain on that aspect. And so once again, your body keeps score. So clearly my body kept score of that experience. And I didn't realize that, as well as other experiences. And what I mean by that is, you have to think about, like, when you're walking by, for instance, best example is when you're walking by and you find somebody really attractive, and something inside of you wants you to say hi to them or just talk to them, but you hold yourself back and you feel that almost like reserve and that resistance. And then that stimulation of that emotion is ultimately your nervous system creating an emotional response, and that locks in your body. Or when you're at work on the computer, you get an email or a message and you look at it and your body tenses up. That's your body keeping score. Those are unconscious responses of your response towards something, some stimulus in your life. And so what happens is, going through breath work, I realized that the breath can stimulate something called the limbic part of your brain, which is the emotion part response. And when you're able to stimulate the emotional response, you're able to bring up a lot of trapped traumas, post-traumatic stress disorder, and trapped emotions. And so what I mean by that is, anything that you repressed in your life, and I'm talking about the totality of your repression, not just the negative stuff, but even the positive stuff. Mm-hmm. You've been told that being too happy, being too joyful, being too energetic was no good. I have. I'm somebody who was considered to have ADHD. And so I was told that if you're too excited and too happy, you're going to scare people. Slow it down. Don't do that. And then what I've been told now is that people with ADHD is simply having a Ferrari engine and a Honda body.
Very well put.
right?
Yeah.
And so being told these things, you trap these emotions within you. And through the breathwork experience, you're able to release those experiences and re-experience them, feel them, express them, and then heal yourself from them. And I'm talking about the totality of everything,
Okay.
right?
So if I can pause you right there.
Yeah.
I would love to know more about the breath work. Okay. So you do the
Yes.
breath work, you're going into it, you get into your deep state. Now, if I'm thinking of an NLP perspective, you're looking at the triggers, the actual event, looking at the conclusion, and hopefully reframing it so it's empowering, right?
Yes.
Is there anything else that you can do in that moment while you're doing the breath work to really heal yourself and become a better version of yourself?
Yes. And so here's the thing. With breathwork is a sacred practice that's been used for many, many, many years, dating back as far as like the ancient Egyptians. That's how far back it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so with breathwork, breath in itself is intelligent. So oftentimes we have to use the mind to help heal the body. But once again, like I said, the body in itself is also an unconscious brain. Because what I mean by that is when you're out and about, same thing, an example, and all of a sudden, like everything outside of you is good. Mentally, you're good. Focusing on the good things. And all of a sudden, a trigger happens. But mentally, you don't register it. But physically, you do. All of a sudden, you start to feel this overwhelming sensation of sadness. And you're like, what's going on? Like mentally, I'm focusing on everything that's good. Everything outside of me is good, but the emotional body, the pain body is responding to things outside of you. So through breathwork, you actually do not have to grow or mentally work through it at all. You don't have to change your perception. You only have to experience it, express it, and you can heal from it. There's a book called The Emotion Code written by Dr. Bradley Nelson. And he says that there's 4 stages of emotion. Number 1, we create the emotion. Number 2, we experience the emotion. Number 3, we express the emotion. And number 4, we process the entire experience. And when any part of those stages have been broken, which oftentimes they are, because why do? We repress our emotions. Those emotions become trapped inside of us. So through the breath work, once you stimulate the limbic part of the brain, you're only experiencing the emotion. You actually don't oftentimes have to have the memory come to you. You don't have to. Sometimes you will. Sometimes you don't have to. You only have to express it. Through the breathwork journey, dude, I was angry. I was upset. I was crying. I was so joyful. I didn't realize that I was suppressing joy, dude. I was suppressing joy. And once you do that, okay, once you're able to express it, you release what we call dense energy in the body. And once you release the dense energy in the body, which is studied by Eastern medicine, you begin to feel more vital, because not only do you access a different part of you, release what you've been holding on to for so long. And another example of it is a story that I've always heard that is so powerful. And it goes like this. It's 2 monks walking up a hill. Have you heard of the story?
I think I have from you, but let's let the listeners hear it from you. Yeah.
Okay. So the story is about 2 monks who walk up the hill. And they're climbing up mountain, actually. What happens is, up the mountain, they meet a river, and they must cross this river. And this river is a treacherous river. One of the monks was actually deciding whether or not they should go through it. But then the other monk was like, we should just go ahead. I feel like we'll be strong enough and safe enough to get across. And out of nowhere, as they're about to cross, a woman runs out of the bush. And the woman says, hey, can you help me across the river? One of the monks is like, no, it's going to be so hard for me to get across. There's nobody can help me. The other monk's like, not a problem. Hop on my back and I'll get you across the river. And when they're going across the river, okay, once they get to the other side, the monk says, okay, we're here. You can hop off now. The woman gets off the monk's back and says, thank you so much for helping me across. The woman goes down, off on the other side. The 2 monks continue up the hill. And one of the monks was just stomping his feet. And you can just hear it. And you know what it's like when people stomp their feet, right?
Yeah.
And they just sound so heavy. And this monk was sounding very heavy. And the other monk said to him, hey, what's going on? And the one monk's like, nothing, it's okay, I'm fine. A common response for a lot of people. The monk's like, no, really, what's going on? you sound a little heavier. The monk's like, fine, okay. I can't believe that you helped that woman across the river. She just let her do it herself. She's more than capable. The monk is like, you know what? You're right, she could have. I just felt called to help her. However, I let her go once you crossed the river, and you are still carrying her. And just like most people, we hold on to judgment, we hold on to resentment, we hold on to anger, we hold on to repressed joy, happiness. And what that shows up as in the physical body is we feel heavy. And once you're able to express and release the emotion, you begin to feel lighter.
Yeah.
And that's the experience of what breath work is. And through the process of breath work as well, there's many other journeys that you can experience that is so powerful that oftentimes the mind in itself cannot comprehend, but trusting the intelligence and going as deep as you want to through your breath will allow you to experience things you could never even fathom. And that is why I truly align with the belief that we are more powerful than we've been brought to believe.
That's super powerful right there.
And so incorporating breath work with physical training, I have truly seen so many of our clients really elevate to even higher states, always adding in different forms of modality into our practice. That is the best way to evolve and grow.
Yeah.
Instead of just conforming to what is normal, right?
Yeah, that's great. And this sounds like a beautiful journey you bring your clients through, right? From coming from the state of, I want that extra 6-pack, or I want that 6-pack, or I want those bigger biceps, where they're getting so much more from you than just that.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
getting the mental game, they're getting the physical game. And well, now that you talk about all this breath work, kind of the spiritual game as well.
Yes.
And truthfully, a lot of people don't realize, I mean, especially some people that I've worked with, there's this connotation of spirituality with religion, when really it's not religious in its totality. It's just a state of being and a way of thinking and a way of seeing and experiencing, right? And I love how you bring that breath work in, because even for myself, I mean, I went to a 10-day retreat called Vipassana. I don't know if you heard of it.
Yes.
Yeah. So I did the breath work there, and holy smokes, I know exactly what you're talking about, processing emotions. I too went through the anger, the sadness, the joy as well,
Yeah.
and,
wow.
And to come out of it after 10 days, it wasn't just me that felt the transformation, but it was everyone around me. Even my wife was like, what happened to you? Who are you? Right.
Yeah.
And I can't, stress enough how people need to get in touch with their breath, and whether that be through you or through any other, guides, is such a powerful tool. So thank you for that, for sharing with that. Yeah.
Of course.
And so I would love to know, you've gone through all this training, you've learned NLP, you've done the breath work. What kind of achievements have you achieved personally that have, that you can tell through your story?
Yeah. So there's a lot to my backstory. And I can go deep into my backstory. It could take me like hours to explain it all. However, I'll just jump into what it is that really transformed. And so before, I was somebody who was very self-centered, egotistical. I've suffered physically. I've had what we call Bell's palsy, where the left side of my face goes numb, almost like a stroke. However, I was young. I was like 26 at the time. What happens is, the idea is that the left side of your face goes numb because your nerves get inflamed. And so that is a sign of inflammation. And inflammation is obviously due to high beta stress, right? And so I've been through that. I know what it's like to go through depression. I know what it's like to pretty much go through an identity crisis. Anything anybody's ever experienced, I have probably experienced it to some degree. And I believe that the ones who are meant to serve, which all of us are, often go through the toughest experience, which is why if you're going through a tough experience right now, know that there's hope in what you're going through, because somebody out there has gone through it as well and came out better on the other side. And so from all of this, diving into all of the practice that I've had, Somebody asked Buddha, what did you gain from meditation? Buddha said nothing. However, I lost everything. I lost my fears. I lost my limitations. I lost my doubts. I lost the idea and fear of other people's opinions. I've lost so much so that I can experience myself in my totality, in my entirety. And that is what I have gained from all of this. To be able to come out on the other side better. And just like you, people within my circle and who have known me for so long are like, what has happened to you? How have you become this person? I have a best friend who has literally watched me go from being a gangster, thinking about himself, causing harm and suffering in this world, to somebody who has, which I believe, to somewhat be extremely selfish so that they can be selfless and serve others on such a higher level. And I know that I'm on the right path of where I'm at because everything that I do and everything that I've learned, I'm willing to do for free as well. And I've done that. People who are not able to honestly afford my service, because I do charge a lot more than the average person, as you would know. And so some people are not able to afford it, but I know that they're ready for it. I will still offer my time as long as they're 100% committed. And that is how I know I'm on the right path. And so what have I really created from all of this? I've been able to unveil, transform, and realize my real self, which other people call their ideal self.
Yeah.
And that is the most beautiful thing anybody could ever do. The more you're able to come back home, the more you're able to unveil who it is that you've been, to only discover who it is that you truly are, and to feel this sense of wholeness, man, that is priceless. It is priceless.
Yeah. And so I would love to know, in your words, in your opinion, what is home for you?
Home for me, it's an internal experience. It's an internal experience where you feel whole. And what I mean by whole is that you will connect back to your true spiritual essence. That being full of unconditional love with the extension of compassion for others.
Nice. Wow.
That is home for me.
That sounds so amazing. And I hope people that are listening, that they'll take this with not only a grain of salt, but a new light with how they see what home is for them.
Yeah.
Because, I'm running this challenge right now where people are doing Facebook Lives and ask them the question, what is your sacred place? What is home for you? Some people say, it's in Asia. Some people say it's in Europe. I found that the people who talk about home being where they are right now are typically closer to that taste of happiness and freedom. And so thank you for sharing that with me, because that's so beautifully put. And so I guess to wrap it up here, how do people get a hold of you, Andrew? And if they want to work with you, what do they need to do?
At A.Live Fitness and Wellness, our team is committed to helping people like you make their personal transformation so that you can awaken and live to your highest potential. Because like you, A.Live believes that fitness can be used as a vehicle to give you the personal power to break through any limitations you may have, physically or mentally. So now, click the link, go to our website, and book your complimentary assessment with us today.